Now, most of the discussion so far about networks has been in person, but online networks, social networks, can be great for networking too. Now, they don't replace in-person networking. You can't beat the relationship. You can't form as strong a relationship with someone over social networking as you can in person, but it can be a great additional thing. So the book gives us 7 steps to kind of successfully use online networks for networking. First off, you want to find the right network. What social network is right for your situation. I mentioned Facebook and LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a very common one. Most people are on LinkedIn because they want to network. Make sure you're focused more on sharing than selling. No one wants to see someone constantly selling on social. Configure your profile appropriately based on what you want to achieve. Remember, others are watching, so careful what you post. Meanwhile, to make sure your privacy settings are set the way you want it to be set based on what you share. Interact regularly. If you want to build relationships online, same thing as building relationships in person. You have to interact with people on a regular basis, so you have to put time into it. And then focus for best results. So here's talking about groups. Some social sites have groups around certain interests you can join and participate in that can help you be more effective and meet people in the area of interest you have. So that's social networks. Now the last part of the chapter talks about using soft power to influence others. But first I talk about hard power versus soft power. So hard power is power that stems from your position. So it's the power you have because of your position. If you have a management position, there's certain things you can just tell people to do because you have the authority to do so. And telling someone what to do is using hard power. You legitimately have that power. You have the power to reward, power to punish, and it's defined by the organization. But as a manager, you do not want to rely solely on hard power or your formal authority to influence others. Actually, you want to try to use it as little as possible. The best type of power to use whenever possible is soft power. So majority of work is and should be accomplished through soft power. And soft power is based on building relationships with other people that are positive and rely on your own personal credibility. So it's mostly relationship based. And there's 2 types of soft power. There's referent power, and then there's expert power. We'll talk about next. So referent power is based on personality characteristics that command others' identification, respect, and admiration. Depends on the manager's personal characteristics, not a formal title or position. So basically, referent power is power you have as a manager. Once again, this has nothing to do with your position, but because of who you are, the way you act, the way you treat people, the relationships you build. That is referent power. People refer to you on things because they respect you and they value your input. That's referent power. The other is expert power. This results from a manager's special knowledge or skill regarding tasks performed by followers. Basically, what it's saying is, if you have expert technical knowledge in the area in which someone else is working in, then you have some power because you can provide valuable information. So the more knowledge you have about a certain thing, the more expert power you have, that is a form of power, because if they know you have high level knowledge in that area, they're more likely to refer to you and ask of you that information and help in that area. All right, so next, the value of soft power. So soft power is the influence tool of effective managers. So just once again saying here that being successful with soft power is the way you are successful as a manager. If you're using soft power, to kind of go off book a little bit here, you are not just managing, you are leading, because you are influencing people positively using your relationship and influence. You're not forcing them to follow what you want. They want to do it. So soft power is very important to be an effective manager. Okay, so then the book talks about how to build your soft power and political influence. And these are kind of framed in the situation of you trying to make something happen. You're trying to fix some problem or take on some big effort, and you need help, and you're trying to use build your soft power and political influence to make that happen. And there's 3 different things here that it recommends that you can do. One is conduct lots of interviews. This means go out and talk to people who are involved in whatever it is you care about or impacted by, and find out, what problems they're having. What do they care about? What kind of help do they need? Build relationships and find out their take on the situation and what they think should be done. That's how you build relationships and make those connections that are very powerful. And as you're doing that, as it says here, develop a map of stakeholder buy-in. Fill out people to figure out where do they stand on this thing you're trying to do. Are they all in? Are they resistant? Are they maybe willing to provide advice but not really willing to get involved? That can help you kind of figure out, by knowing where people are and things, you can kind of figure out how to best involve them to help you, or maybe who you don't want to involve. And then finally, break down barriers and promote cross-silo cooperation. So as you get people trying to help you, you want to try to break down barriers, move things out of the way that would stop them from being successful, and then try to connect them with other people, in other departments and so forth, and help them be successful. So you're kind of tackling and blocking for them and connecting them to resources to help them be successful. Now, on the last slide, we talked about how, as you are doing interviews and talk to people, to kind of map out where people are. So this is an example of kind of an average of how things often fall. So often about 60% of people will be observers who are just neutral about whatever change it is you're trying to take on. You have 10% who are advocates. They are champions, will help you lead the change. You have 10 who will support the change, and then 20 who oppose. It's just kind of an example of kind of how things often kind of fall out. And then finally, the last part of the chapter talks about these 6 principles for asserting influence. So these are just some best practices to help you successfully influence others as a manager using soft power. So first, make sure you link whatever it is you're trying to do, the change you're trying to create, link it to higher purpose and values. Bring it back to, how does it help them? How does it help the organization? What cause or shared cause or value does this address that you both care about? Secondly, help people like you. Get to know them. Build a relationship. Once again, it's all about relationships. Rely on reciprocity. This goes back to, once again, if you want others to help you, help them. Figure out how you can provide value and how you can help other people. That's reciprocity. If you help others, they're more likely to help you. Develop allies. Find people who to be on your side, who you can count on. Next one's a really important one. Ask for what you want. If you just kind of hem and haw and don't really get to the point of what you want, never really ask for it, you're probably not going to get it. You have to be willing to ask for what you want. And if you ask, you're more likely to actually get it. And then finally, play up your expertise and credibility. So we talked about earlier how one of the soft powers is expert credibility. And if you have expert credibility, people will more likely come to you and refer to you or defer to you, to your expertise. But they can't do that if they don't know that you have the expertise. So you have to make sure, tactfully, you don't want to be like, I know such and such. But you need to figure out ways to show certain things so that whenever things come up that you could be a resource on, they come to you. So that's what that means. So it says here, as a manager, if you do all these things here, it's going to help lead to greater influence, help you be more successful whenever you're trying to take on some challenge and get other people on board to help you. All right, so that is the end of Chapter 8 on getting things done through networks, relationships, and soft power. Hope you found that helpful. Any questions, please reach out. Hope you have a great week.